On Windows, if you installed Git for Windows and you are using Git Bash, then you know Git is installed. On the Mac, it is less obvious, so we need to ask Git for the version in order to confirm that Git is available. Git space version. If Git responds with a version number, then Git is installed. Otherwise, you may need to install Git before proceeding. Git requires 2 bits of information before we can do very much. That is the name and email address. If we don't provide that information, Git will attempt to automatically figure it out. However, I have found this process to be rather unreliable. So let's just take care of it right now. Git space config -- global space user.name space, and in double quotes, just put your name. And then next, we'll do a similar command for the email address. Git space config space -- global space user.email space, and in double quotes, put your email address. Press enter. And now let's confirm. Git space config -- global space -- list. Git should list back your name and email address you entered above. Now that our local system is all ready to go, let's return to our browser where we left off, which should be in our new repository's main page. Now, I want to get a copy of this repository onto my local system. The process to do that is called cloning a repository. So, locate the clone options at the bottom of the right-hand side of the page. Make sure HTTPS is selected, and then click the Copy button to copy the HTTPS URL for the repository to your system's clipboard. If, for some reason, that button isn't available or isn't working, just select the HTTPS URL and then copy it into your clipboard manually. Now that's done, return back to the terminal and type git space clone space, and now just paste in your GitHub URL. Double check that line and then press enter. Git will now go out to GitHub and make a full copy of our repository on GitHub to our local system. Doing so, Git will automatically create a directory named after our repository, which we can confirm by typing ls. Then press enter, which lists out the contents of our current directory. Now, let's go into our local repositories directory. cd space github-demo. Now if we ls, we can see we have our README file that was created when we initialized our repository on GitHub. Now, if I ask Git about the state of the repository with git space status, git status tells us that I'm on the master branch. The master branch is the default branch by convention for a Git repository. The git status command also tells us master is up to date with origin/master, which refers to the master branch on the GitHub version of the repository. The git clone command automatically set up a relationship back to the repository on GitHub and named that reference origin. Finally, Git tells us the working directory is clean. The working directory is where we do all the work and that Git monitors for changes. We use the git status command to see if there are any changes between the working directory, the staging area, our local repository, and our remote repository. Now that we have our repository on our local system, let's add a new file. For that, I'm going to use the bash commands to create a simple text file. So type echo space, and in double quotes the contents of our file. Test git quick start demo. And then 2 greater than signs that pipes the contents of the echo command into a start.txt file. After that, press enter. Now we can see the file in our working directory. ls. Also, we can use the cat command to display the contents of that file. Cat space start.txt. Press enter. Now, let's see what Git thinks about this file. Git space status. Press enter. Now, when we do that, Git says that we have an untracked file. An untracked file is just a file in our working directory that hasn't been added to Git yet. Our change, that is, our new file, is in our working directory. We haven't specifically told Git about it yet. So let's take care of that now with Git's add command. Git space add space and then the name of the file, start.txt. Press enter. Now if we do a git space status, Git tells us there's a new file in the staging area, which Git describes as changes to be committed. So, now that our file is in the staging area awaiting the commit, we haven't committed anything yet. We can still back out the change from the staging area and not impact Git's history in any way. The staging area is designed to allow you to build up several related changes so they can be committed as a single atomic unit. Now, let's move forward by committing the new file into the repository. Git space commit space -m space and in double quotes a commit message, adding start text file. Then press enter. Great. Now if I do a git space status, Git tells us that we're back in a clean working directory state, and that our master branch is ahead of origin master by one commit. So, now the new file has been moved from the staging area into the local repository. Since there are no other pending changes, once the commit happens, Git marks the working directory as clean. After the commit, I mentioned the fact that our new file is now on the local repository. The commit is still a local command, which means that our file is not yet on GitHub. So to prove this, let's return to our browser. We should still be on our repository main page, so refresh or reload your browser to refresh the contents of that page. What you should notice is that we still have just the README file on GitHub. So there is one last step we need to do, and that is a push. So return to the terminal and type git space push space origin space master. This version of the git push command specifies the remote name, which is origin, which was set up for us automatically when we cloned the repository from GitHub, and the name of the branch to push, which is master, since it is the only branch we have. Now press enter. Since you are making changes on your repository on GitHub, the git push command will prompt you for your GitHub username and password. Once the push command returns, then we can check the results. If we did everything correctly, our new file should be on the GitHub copy of our repository. Let's verify that by returning to our browser. Now refresh the page again. Now, we should see our start.txt file listed. If I click on the file name, I can see the contents of that file as well.